Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome in. My name is Steve Adler. My friends call me Ace. And today I'm excited because I'm going to talk about the launch of football.fun's, which is now sports.fun's NFL market. So, gosh, let me jump in. There's so much, and I want to try to take it easy and take it slow because this is the American Football 101 introduction. So if you know football, then this is going to be completely boring. You don't want any part of it. If you don't know football, I should say you don't know American football, you're a soccer guy. This will be helpful. What I'm going to do over the next 10, 15, 20 minutes is kind of go over football so you can watch it and kind of have an idea of what's going on. I'm also going to walk through some websites and some rankings and how to read fantasy football scoring. So that way you're not completely lost jumping in and just saying, who should I buy? I don't know who's the Mbappe, who's the Kane. And I say those names as someone who does not follow soccer. So if you ask me those questions, I'm not going to know what any of that relates to. Also, football is a little weird. Like I feel like you can take soccer and you can take NBA, and there's a lot of things that kind of mesh. Football is very different, and it reminds me of when we jumped in with. I used to play So Rare MLB, and when it first launched, it had this massive soccer community, and they came over and trying to understand baseball. When you watch soccer, there's not really a lot of similarities, and I think it's the same thing with football. But what I will tell you is that football is the number one sport in the United States for a reason. It's a ton of fun. You can watch on many different levels, on a very casual level, on a very scientific and detailed level. I would say I kind of watch somewhere in the middle, probably a little more skewed to the more breakdown of defenses and offenses and schemes. And I'm not going to get into that ever on the football.fun streams because it's completely unnecessary. But just so you know, a little bit about me. Like I said, my name is Steve. My friends do call me Ace. I am a former sports talk show host. I have my own show and my own fantasy football show on the Chargers flagship when I lived in San Diego. Obviously, they're in LA now. If you don't know where the Chargers are, it doesn't matter. You don't need to know for the purpose of football.fun. So let's jump right in. I want to say I'm keeping an eye on the chat a little bit just in case some people do come in and they have questions. I do see Chef in here. What's up, Chef? Looking forward to, I guess, are we competing? I don't know. I feel like we're all kind of like a collective trying to go in the same direction with different opinions, as opposed to playing in some other competitive spaces. So welcome, Chef. I think it's great if we have different opinions because we're all not going to be chasing the same people, and you should not have the same opinions as me. But before I get too much in the weeds, let me jump into, I'm going to throw some graphics in here. I was going to throw a graphic in right off the bat, and it didn't happen. So let's do this. Okay. So I went on Pinterest to try to find a really easy to follow. This is football. And I will tell you right now, if you don't know what football is, there's a lot going on here. And you're thinking well, there's a lot going on here. It's the opposite of my screen. So forgive me. There's a lot going on over here. You don't have to worry about most of it. What I will tell you is, and I don't know if you can see my cursor here. Hopefully you can. The only things that you really need to focus on, don't worry about any of the red helmets. You're just worried about the blue helmets. And you're only worried about 4 blue helmets. You're worried about the quarterback. So if you can see my mouse, which, Chef, if you're watching, please help me out here. If you can see my mouse, I'm pointing at the quarterback spot. You're worried about quarterback. You're worried about halfback, which we refer to as running back. Hard to see the mouse. Okay. So quarterback, go 2 back from the quarterback. You're going to see the halfback. That is also what we refer to as a running back. You'll see up top the wide receiver. And then if you go down to the bottom, you see another wide receiver. Don't worry about that. and to the right of that is going to be the tight end. We're only worried about the quarterback, the running back, the wide receiver, and the tight end. That's it. And this is going to be very surface level information today. So don't worry about one-on-one coverage, zone, press. We're not talking about 3-4 and 4-3 defenses. Like, these things are all completely irrelevant for what we're doing on football.fun. You just need to worry about the quarterback, the halfback, and the wide receiver, the running back, halfback, wide receiver, and tight end. A football field is 100 yards from goal line to goal line. The goal, which we call the end zone, is 10 yards. And you'll see on each side, it says end zone, end zone. That area is 10 yards. I'm sorry, the end zone area where those white stripes are, that is also 10 yards. And then from one end zone to the other end zone, 100 yards. Now, when you're watching a game, if you've never watched a game, the trick is each team, once they get the ball, has 4 attempts, which we call a down, to reach 10 yards. If they're able to reach 10 yards, they start over on first down. So they get first down, second down, third down, fourth down. To achieve 10 yards, if they get 10 yards, they get rewarded a new set of downs. Ideally, what each team wants to do is get into the end zone, which is what we call a touchdown, and that is worth 6 points. We also do have kickers. There is some kicking involved in American football. You can either kick what is called an extra point. So after you score a touchdown, the extra point is worth 1 point. It does not affect us at all on football.fun. Kickers also kick what are called field goals. Those are worth 3 points in real football scoring. Also completely irrelevant in regards to football.fun scoring. So I don't want to give you too much information. We're going to keep it simple. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. So I want to talk a little bit about scoring. So what happens here is we don't know exactly what's going to happen with the scoring yet. We all have some ideas of how scoring is going to work, but we don't know exactly how it's going to work. So on the Monday stream, we'll have the scoring, and I'll walk through some of that information with you. But typical scoring is either 1 point for every 10 yards or 0.1 point for every yard. It's the same thing, but it's one or the other. So if it's 1 point for every 10 yards, and if you're thinking, well, isn't that the same thing? If a guy runs for 15 yards, if it's 1 point for every 10 yards, you only got 1 point for the 15 yards. If it's 0.1 points for every yard, then you would have received 1.5 points. We don't know how the scoring is going to work yet, but it'll be one of those two things. The other thing you need to be concerned with is what is called PPR. And you'll see people talking about that in Discord, on Twitter, or on X. And what that means is points per reception. If a quarterback hands the ball to a running back and he's moving in a backwards motion, that is a handoff. Also, he can do it sideways. He can even do it forward. But if the ball leaves his hands, then it can be like a pitch. And if it's a pitch, then it's actually a throw. That can be a little complicated. I don't want to get too much into the weeds on this, but if a quarterback hands the ball to a running back, that is what is called a carry. There are no extra points for carries. If the running back gets thrown the ball or pitch the ball forward, then that is what is called a pass attempt. If the running back, wide receiver, or tight end catch the ball, it is a completion, and that is now a reception for the receiving player. Quarterbacks do not get points for purely just throwing the ball or making a completion. They get points for the yards, and they get points for touchdowns. However, skill position players, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, depending on our scoring system, which will likely be either half a point for PPR or a full point for PPR, these skill position players will receive a point for making a catch. That catch could be 70 yards. That catch could be 2 yards. That catch could technically be negative yards. They will still receive credits for a reception, and based on our scoring system, receive either half a point or a full point for a reception. Last thing from a point standpoint is going to be touchdowns. If a quarterback throws a touchdown, typically he gets 4 points. If a skill position player, or technically even a quarterback, catch a ball and run it into the end zone, they're awarded 6 points. Let's see, where else are we at? We don't know if there's going to be negative scoring. Negative scoring would be if a quarterback throws a ball and the other team catches it. That's what's called an interception. Typically, that is -2 points. If that's the case, you typically want to avoid quarterbacks who throw a lot of interceptions. Fumbles. A fumble is going to be when a player on the offense has the ball and, fumbles the ball, like drops the ball after he was already in possession. So he caught a ball, he was running with it, defensive player hit him, he lost possession of the ball. It's now a loose ball. The defense recovers it. That is typically -2 points for a fumble. If that offensive player does fumble and one of his teammates recover the ball, no loss of points. It's only a loss of points if the defense recovers it. This is typical fantasy football scoring. So we're going to find out exactly how the scoring is going to work, and I'm going to walk through it with you guys as soon as on Monday. I'll walk through the scoring because we'll have it at that point. But I wanted you to kind of just get a basic gist of it. If you're watching a game, you're going to see this kind of lineup. And trust me, it can be all over the place. Some teams are going to play different formations, could have 4 wide receivers, could have 2 tight ends, could have a fullback, could have no fullback. What you typically always get is 5, what we call linemen. That's from tackle to tackle. Those 5 guys, you always get your quarterback. And then everything else, we kind of have to see what's going on. So every team runs different offenses. Every team runs different formations. If we want to get into the weeds in regards to tempo, snap count, those kind of things down the road, we can absolutely do that. But for the basics, all you need to worry about is your quarterback and your skill position players, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and how they're going to accumulate points. So with that being said, let me show you what this kind of looks like. So I'm going to use a very basic website, which most of you, I assume, are going to be familiar with, and that's going to be ESPN, the worldwide leader. So I've already pulled up ESPN's points. And this is the scoring system is, if you'll notice, it says scoring type points PPR. So this is points per reception, and it kind of gives you an idea. This is you can look at the skill positions. So if you go to ESPN.com, you're going to go fantasy. I'll just walk through it with you so you know what you're looking for. ESPN.com fantasy football. It's going to take you here. Then you're going to go, you might go to projections. Right now we're going to go to scoring leaders. And it's going to bring us back to the same page we were on. So I'm going to change a few things here. The first thing I'm going to change is from week 10, we're going to go to the 2025 season. And let's go ahead and look at quarterbacks. Now we know we have 10 quarterbacks that are going to be released. Quick look at that is going to be Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Drake May, Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Caleb Williams, and Bo Nix. I said 10. There's actually 12 quarterbacks, 12 tight ends. So when we look at this list, this is a list of the highest performing quarterbacks this season. And you can see Patrick Mahomes, number 1, Drake May, number 2, Justin Herbert, number 3, tick, 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 and you can go down. Now, what you will notice is Daniel Jones here is the number 6 scoring quarterback in fantasy football. You did not hear his name. Daniel Jones is not going to be available in this drop. Matthew Stafford is the 9th, 9th highest scoring quarterback. I do not believe I mentioned him as well. Hell of a quarterback. did not make the cut. So we will not see Matthew Stafford. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out because it's likely that the two teams that that have these quarterbacks, Daniel Jones being the Colts, Matthew Stafford being the Rams, it is likely both those teams will make the playoffs. So, well, we'll see. We'll see what the team does. And then you can see Caleb Williams, Baker Mayfield, Jordan Love. They are part of this drop. Jared Goff is part of this drop as well. So here's what we're looking at. Let's take a look at Pat Mahomes. He's thrown for. Now let me explain what this is from left to right. So this is showing week 10. We are heading into week 10. Week 10 actually begins tonight, Thursday night. The Broncos and the Raiders are playing. And then on Sunday night is going to be the majority of the games for the weekly slate. And then we typically have one game on Monday. Sometimes we have two, most of the time one game on Monday night. This week, you'll notice Patrick Mahomes has a bye week. What is a bye week? So the NFL season is 18 weeks long. Each team plays 17 games. Each team has a bye week. Now, it's not like you'll notice, I want you to look down real quick to Dak Prescott. He also has a bye this week. So it's not as though like one team has a bye week. The first 3 weeks, no teams have bye weeks. And then from weeks 4 to 14, all the teams have their bye weeks mixed in between weeks 4 and weeks 14, and then weeks 15 through 18, no team has a bye week. So when there's a bye week, that means there's a clumping of teams. It could be 4, it could be 8, it could be any number in between that is going to take that week off. This week, Patrick Mahomes has a bye week, and these are his stats. So the C and the A are completions and attempts. So Patrick Mahomes has attempted 316 passes this year. 204 of those passes were caught. So it's a completion. Like I said, no points for that. But to give you an idea, if you're looking at volume and you're going, well, he's got 316, Herbert's thrown 325, Nix is throwing 322, Dak Prescott's thrown 329. You might be trying to look at, gosh, who are volume passers? Who throws the ball a lot? Kind of like basketball guys are volume shooters. I'm assuming there are probably volume people in soccer as well who take a lot of shots on goal. It's very similar to that. The yards, we are going to get points for yards. We are going to get points for touchdowns. We don't know if we're getting negative points for interceptions. So you can see the yards, 23-49. And this is the entire season. We're gonna break down a game in a second. 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Now, quarterbacks can run the ball. Now I don't want to get too much into the weeds. Where the ball is snapped, let's just say the ball is at the 50-yard line. It's right in the middle of the field. That is referred to as the line of scrimmage. And the reason why this is important is any penalties that happen work off that line of scrimmage. I shouldn't say any. Most penalties will work off the line of scrimmage. But from a fantasy football standpoint, the thing that's important here is Patrick Mahomes can throw the ball as long as he is behind the line of scrimmage. As long as he is on his side of the 50 or his side of wherever the ball was snapped, he can throw the ball. If he passes that, then he can't throw the ball. It's a penalty. So, and it doesn't matter if he's throwing overhand or underhand or sidearm. He's got to throw that ball before the line of scrimmage. However, some quarterbacks run the ball, and you'll notice Patrick Mahomes has ran the ball 47 times this year. And that means that he broke the line of scrimmage and took off for positive yards. He has run the ball 47 times for 285 yards. He will get points for passing, and he will get points for rushing. And on the very rare occasion, if he was ever to get thrown the ball or to catch his own pass, which is very rare and it's a little complicated, he could get receiving yards. And I only say that because I don't want any of you to look at Drake May and go, wow, he's got a catch for 2 yards. But here's what you need to know. Typical scoring is Going to be like 1 point for every 25 yards passing, 1 point for every 10 yards rushing. It can be fractioned. We'll see how that plays out. Most of the time, it is fractioned. So when we're looking at Patrick Mahomes' rushing yards, he's rushed for 285 yards. Quick math, 28.5 points on the season. Is there anything else here we want to look at? If Patrick Mahomes, if a quarterback fumbles the ball, anybody who fumbles the ball, they can potentially get negative points based on our scoring system, which we will know on Monday. So what you'll see if you keep going to the right where the totals are, Patrick Mahomes, F points means fantasy points, 206.46. He averages 22.9 per game. Per game. So he has a bye week. It's possible he gets past this week, but his average is going to stay the same. So let's take a look at Drake May. Drake May plays for the New England Patriots. This Sunday, he's going to be his team is on the road. They're going to be traveling to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. Sunday at 11 a.m. my time. I'm in Arizona. So Drake May's got fantastic stats as well. 255 attempts, 189 completions, 2285 for the year, 17 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. Great. He has also ran the ball 59 times for 270 yards and 2 touchdowns. He randomly caught a pass. This is not normal. I'm just letting you know it's not normal. We don't need to worry about it right now. He has 189.6 fantasy points, 21.1 on average. So we're going to look at one more thing with the quarterbacks, and then we'll kind of walk through running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. I want to show you a week. So the week that just finished up, these were your highest scores. Caleb Williams, who will be in the mix, scored 38.7 last week. He had a monster week, a career week. He threw 34 attempts, 20 completions, 280 yards. 300 is kind of like that golden number for quarterbacks every week if they throw over 300. 3 touchdowns, great day. 5 carries for 53 yards, which is huge from a running back. And he had 2 catches for 22 yards and a touchdown. He's just making me look silly right now. This is not normal. You notice every other quarterback has 0. This is very abnormal. He played in a crazy game. He scored 38.7. You can tell this is a very abnormal score. Most scores are for good quarterbacks are going to range in between 20 and 30 points. Guy scores over 30 points. He just had an epic day. Josh Allen, who is likely going to be in the top 3 quarterbacks that people are going to chase. Josh Allen's an absolute stud. And he was facing KC last week. He was facing Patrick Mahomes. His team won 28-21. He was projected to score 21.5. He ended up scoring 28.82, fraction scoring, as I talked about previously. He threw for 273 yards and 1 touchdown, ran the ball 6 times for 19 yards and 2 touchdowns. Some quarterbacks run the ball a lot, and they score touchdowns. Lamar Jackson is a guy who runs the ball a ton. He's coming back from injury. He only ran the ball 5 times for 14 yards. He's the most prolific rushing quarterback in the league. Jalen Hurts is not on here. He was on bye last week, but he's typically a guy who scores a ton of touchdowns. He runs a decent amount, but they use him around the goal line a lot, just like Josh Allen. He likes to call his own number. And what I mean by that is he likes to, if they're close to the goal line, he'll just take it in himself, which is referred to as calling your own number in football. If you have any questions, shoot them over to me in regards to quarterback scoring. If any of this was confusing, I tried to walk through it at a nice, easy pace. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at running backs. Keep in mind that anytime it wants to catch up. We're in PPR scoring right now. No, okay, it's just not gonna work for me. Okay, here we go. So on the year right now, Christian McCaffrey is an absolute beast. He's been one of the top running backs in the NFL since he has come into the league. However, Christian McCaffrey tends to be made of paper mache. So even though he's great right now, he does tend to be fairly injury prone. Now, what I want you to look at with Christian McCaffrey, he's got 168 carries for 596 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's actually not great for him. However, he's going absolutely bananas catching the ball. 61 catches, 61 receptions, 626 yards and 4 touchdowns, 80 targets. That is huge for a running back. And he scored 231 points. Now, here's the thing. When we as Americans play fantasy football, we're actually putting together a roster. We've got 1 quarterback that we're starting, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex position. We're not going to play that way in football.fun. What's going to happen is we have 12 options at quarterback, and we're just trying to pick the highest scoring 3 guys that week. So you can have everybody, and I have to be honest with you, and for those of you who've been playing, you understand the dynamics a lot more in regards to shares and in regards to tournament points and how that works out getting packs much better than I do, because I don't understand it at all at this point. I have a basic understanding, but I don't understand it well enough I could explain it to someone else. You're going to have a distinct advantage over someone like myself in regards to strategy with the market. However, I should have a distinct advantage over people who don't know NFL simply because I know NFL. Running backs tend to be very consistent. Every once in a while, a guy's going to pop. But they tend to be the most consistent guys because they're the ones, I should say, from the skill position standpoint, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, they tend to be the most consistent because it's easier to project how many times those guys are actually going to get the ball. So Christian McCaffrey, on average, you expect him to touch the ball about 15 to 20 times a game. With a wide receiver or a tight end, he may only get thrown the ball 6 times during the game, maybe not even 6 times during the game. So he could get thrown the ball 10 times and only catch it twice. Like, those things happen. They're very hard to predict. Running backs tend to be much more predictable. However, all we're doing is comparing running backs to running backs. It's not like we have a traditional fantasy football roster. So what you're trying to find is which running backs are going to hit that week. And I believe, gosh, we have, how big is this list? We've got a list of 24 running backs. And I believe we're going to have the opportunity to have handcuffs as well. And what that means is a handcuff is a term in fantasy football that we use for drafting a player like, let's say, Bijan Robinson. You would draft Bijan Robinson, and then you would get his handcuff, like his backup. Like Christian McCaffrey getting his backup. I want to show you a good example here. Algier is the backup for Bijan Robinson. So my understanding is, because we're in a short season with football.fun, you're going to be able to buy Bijan, and if he gets hurt, you'll actually get the stats for his handcuff. So we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, we'll have more details on Monday. But for the most part, this should give you a basic understanding of how the scoring works. A lot of running backs get consistent rushing attempts. Passing attempts are a little different, and you will notice there is a huge difference. Christian McCaffrey has 61. Achane has 43. Bijan has 41. These are very high performers. You're going to look at guys like James Cook, who actually catches the ball really well out of the backfield, but he's only got 13 catches right now. So he might not be playing on a lot of what we call passing downs. Gentry, who is supposed to be fantastic out of the backfield, only has 20 catches. Kevin Williams has 20 catches. So you can tell there's a huge disparity in guys who catch the ball out of the backfield as running backs and guys who just they're not involved in the passing game as much. Okay, so wide receivers and tight ends tend to be very similar in regards to how they keep stats. Every once in a while, wide receivers do run the ball as running backs. It doesn't happen very often. As you can see here, the top wide receivers have 2 carries, 4 carries, 3 carries, 4 carries. A bunch of them are going to have 0. It's not something that they typically do. There is one, maybe two wide receivers who will carry the ball once or twice a game, but it's very rare. I'm talking about a guy like Deebo Samuel, who I do not even believe is in our grouping. Nope, don't see him. Don't need to worry about it. What you're looking at here with wide receivers are going to be receptions. Remember, PPR, points per reception, yards, touchdowns, targets. Really hard to predict touchdowns. Some guys are just absolute monsters around the end zone. Some guys, it's just a matter of the quarterback takes what he's given kind of thing. This is targets. This is how many times the ball has been thrown in that player's direction. So, for example, Jamar Chase, the ball's been thrown in his direction 107 times. He caught 76 of them for 831 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's it. It's super simple. Tight ends, pretty much the same thing. Most tight ends do not produce at the level that wide receivers produce, but that doesn't matter for us because we're only comparing tight ends to tight ends. So when you look here and you're going, okay, Trey McBride, Jake Ferguson, Tyler Warren, who's a rookie, Tucker Kraft has the 4th most points for a tight end. He got injured last week. I think it's a smart idea. The Football.fun team pulled him from the drop, so he's not going to be in there. He'll be in next year's drop. Travis Kelce, I'm sure most people know who he is. Dallas Goedert, part of the drop. Sam Laporta, stud from Detroit. Dalton Kincaid. I do not believe we're going to see Hunter Henry in this drop. No, we are going to see Hunter Henry in this drop. And you'll notice you're not seeing guys with 75 catches. Even the top tight ends will produce excellent tight end numbers, and they're not necessarily going to be on the level with the receiver. But like I said, that doesn't matter because all we're doing is comparing tight ends to tight ends. You're just trying to find the top 3 tight ends and the top 5 wide receivers that are performing on a weekly basis. So ESPN tends to be a great site for this kind of thing. I'm going to take a quick look since we're live on projections. Okay, so we can look this week projections. It is not showing me week 10 projections yet. Apparently it's too early in the week for ESPN to drop those, which is a little odd considering we have a game tonight. But either way, let me see. Bear with me here for a minute. Looks like Fantasy Pros. No, we don't want to get out of that. I tried to bookmark this for you guys. So if you go to Fantasy Pro, this is a little trickier to get to. But if you go to Fantasy Pros, you can click on Week 10 rankings, and it's going to show you how much they're projected for. This is half scoring. So let me back up. I don't love their website because it's really busy. There's just a ton going on. You're looking at, you can change your rankings. All you need to worry about right now is weekly. Scoring, if we go half PPR versus PPR, that's how you change that. So we'll go we'll go full PPR. Overview looks good. Latest ECR, which is probably most accurate experts with recent updates. Okay. And then this is going to show you. So for this week, Christian McCaffrey is the top matchup. He's playing against the Rams. That's what LAR is, Los Angeles Rams. Shows he does not have a great matchup, but still the top running back. Bijan's number 2, Taylor's number 3, Achane's number 4, Cook is number 5. So if you don't really know much about what's going on football-wise, and you just said, hey, this thing says these are the top 5 guys this week, I'm going to go buy these guys going into this week. And I've got shares of J.K. Dobbins. It doesn't look like he's going to be top 5, so let me sell those and then move those funds, the gold, into Christian McCaffrey. It's an easy way to do it. You're probably we'll see how the market works out, right? You might sell 1,000 shares of J.K. Dobbins to buy 250 shares of Christian McCaffrey. We'll have to see how this all plays out. But this is a good outlet if you want something simple and basic, and you're like, I just need to know top 5 running backs, top 5 wide receivers, top 3 tight ends projected this week. Piece of cake. And you can just set it and forget it. Are these guys going to be right? Probably not. I mean, they're going to probably hit more than they miss in regards to finishing top 3 or top 5. But just keep in mind, nobody's going to be absolutely perfect on this stuff. Like basketball is so much easier to project than football and baseball. But these guys have a group of experts. They spend a ton of time doing this, and there's other great websites as well, whether it's RotoWire or Establish the Run, that you can pay for a membership and get projections on. I always tell people, like, you get what you pay for. So if you're going on Fantasy Pros, you're going on ESPN, not that they don't have good people who are knowledgeable and who spend a lot of time doing this, but you do get what you pay for. If you want to pay for another site, and I believe we're going to have projections available on the football.fun site or sports.fun site. And we'll have to see how that plays out a week from now. But I do want to caution you, you get what you pay for. So if you don't feel like paying any extra cash, you just want to play around with this for a few weeks, awesome, do it. What I'm going to try to do is, ideally, I can make time to host like a preview stream every week, and I'll just run through some of these projections with you guys and be like, hey, here's what Fantasy Pros thinks. Here's what ESPN thinks. Here's what RotoWire thinks this week. And that should be a nice, easy, quick reference point for you guys. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. That is the gist of it. This took much longer than I was anticipating. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm in the Discord. I'm aced out in the Discord, or if you're on X, you can hit me up at Best Baller Ace. I play a lot of best ball. If you don't know what that is, I can explain that later. But I'm excited for the journey we're going to go on here. I do want to let you know that I'm going to have a stream on Monday for the pack rip. So I'll do like an NFL recap. We'll do the pack rip. I have over 300 packs, and my understanding is they all rip at once. So that'll be chaos as you see me very confused on live stream as I try to kind of fumble through and figure out what all that means. And then we'll talk a little strategy because the market is going to open on Tuesday. I will be live with AJ when the second hour of the market opens so we can watch the chaos unfold. That should be a ton of fun. And if you guys have any questions or you need anything, feel free to reach out. Like I said, I'm in the Discord. You can also hit me up on X. So otherwise, hope this is helpful for you guys. Sorry it took a little longer than I anticipated, but hope you guys have a great day. And good luck. Good luck with your rips on Monday. Peace.